All right, guys, we're all live on Facebook. Welcome. Hey, it's Steve Richards with the CEO Nation. Glad to have you guys here joining me live and the folks who will be watching us on Facebook later. All right. So today we're going to talk about going from overwhelmed to being productive. I'm excited about that. You know, every Monday we do these 3:30 Eastern training sessions where I also open up for coaching Q&A, and we've been doing it for several months. We not only are working on this live in Zoom so that I can engage with whoever logs into this. This is all free, by the way. You can log in and ask questions and follow along, or you can watch this through the Facebook page, either live, the Facebook group, the CEO Nation, or if you miss it, you can catch it as a replay in the Facebook group. All right, so let's do a couple things here. I'm going to look and see how many people got logging in. Hey, what's up, guys? Samir, what's going on, my man? And Loretta, oh, you and I were messaging. Jim, what's going on? John, hey, Matt. Bill. What's up, Allie? Okay, cool. I also see some folks I don't know, so that's cool. Welcome to the CEO Nation here. So let me tell you guys, you can either chat me or use the Q&A box to send questions in while I'm going. I see one popping in. Samir, happy to be here. Cool, dude. Feel free to jump in. I'm going to cover some topics here. And today we're going to, like I said, we're going to talk about going from being overwhelmed to being productive. And I'll also make time for open Q&A in the end. So for anything that I can help with. But first, let me tell you guys a couple things about the CEO Nation, make sure everyone's on the same page. The CEO Nation is a tribe that we literally exist to help hustling, grinding entrepreneurs go from having a business that they work for and a business that kind of owns them, that maybe isn't giving them the time and money freedom that they expected, to being a CEO of a business that works for them instead of them working for it. And so on these Monday calls, we cover a different topic every Monday. And I want this to be not only something that will give you a perspective shift, but also something that you can practically implement right away. So if you guys have thoughts, questions about these, or want to follow up, DMing me is the best way, or jump into a Clubhouse room, as that's become a big part of where I spend my time now, is the Clubhouse app. And if you're not familiar with that yet, you will be. I'm assuming soon. But just DMing me or connecting with me and let me know if you guys have feedback about different topics that we can cover, or if you have certain follow-up questions. I'm going to post a link here in a little while for a strategy session. If you guys are wanting to know more about the training products, the coaching, different things that we do more formally, or our Team Architects company that helps people build teams, you guys can just shoot me set up a strategy session to talk more about that. We have a podcast called the CEO Nation. If you don't know about that, it's pretty cool. We have a really, really cool episode coming out. I don't know if it's getting launched this week or next, but it's with a guy named Richard Roop, who was my first business coach, my first real estate focused business coach. And he and I caught up on several things. It ran a little bit long, so we might do a two-parter. I'm not sure. But we covered some really, really cool stuff. He's a marketing genius, marketing expert. But he's also got a really cool story about building up big and having a pretty big fall, and kind of a redemption story that he's back. And we covered several cool life things as well. But that's the episode with Richard Roop, and that's the CEO Nation. So again, if you're watching this after the fact in the Facebook group, you can register. There's links within the group here. You can find them to register so you can join live on Mondays. And if you're watching this, if you're one of the folks who's on live and you don't know that we have a Facebook group, just search Facebook for the CEO Nation and underneath groups, and you'll find that. So let me get started here. Let me pull my notes out because I want to jump in, and I don't want this one to get out of control. Sometimes I get riffing on a subject, and I can talk for quite a while, but I'm going to keep this one maybe to like 30, 40 minutes, and then I'll make some time for Q&A. But hold on one second, guys. Sorry about that. Hopefully I got a little weird feedback there. Hopefully it's not bad sound for you guys. But hey, Daniel, good to have you in here. Saw you jump in. Okay. So I want to talk about what overwhelm really is. And I'm going to break it down. So, in my opinion, if you guys are going to take some notes, you might want to write these down. Here's the three main ways I think people get into overwhelm. Number one is being too busy. So disorganized, can't quite stay in front of things. And what I see that being an issue with is being unwilling to hire or delegate. So if you just have too much going on, right? And so you become unorganized. And the way around that is systems and teams. And I'm going to break this stuff down a couple different ways, but I'm just going to run through these three really quickly. The second one is not being focused. And so what this usually equates to is chasing money, spreading yourself too thin. And so the way around that is getting focused on revenue generating activities, in particular, picking one or a couple associated ones and focusing on those. And then also the third way that I think overwhelm kicks in is being unprepared. So if you get in over your head, you're not really ready for a situation. And the way around that is to learn and master what you're working on. So let me revive or let me summarize those again, because it's important that you guys understand this. Too busy equals being disorganized or not willing to hire, delegate, right? And so systems and teams are the way you get around that. If you're not focused, you're probably chasing money. You have too many things going on. You're spreading too thin. So you need to focus in on certain activities that are either singular activity or related activities for that generate revenue. And then being unprepared, which means you're not ready, you're in over your head, you need to learn and master. And so what these things have in common, it's interesting. We talked about the solution for these is systems, team building, focusing on revenue generating activities, and learning and mastering a craft. And so what's interesting with that is that, sorry, I'm getting weird feedback. I hope sounds okay with you guys. But here's what's interesting with all that. It's so common that you would have one of those, probably two, and sometimes all three of those. So many entrepreneurs they get in over their head. They're not quite ready because they take action. Thanks, Loretta. That's good to know. They take action, they get rolling, and sometimes they get, which I don't actually think this is a bad thing because it helps you get started, but it does create overwhelm. And then you're like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? I got all these deals cooking. I got to figure this out. I got to figure that out. You start running around. And so another thing that happens is maybe when you feel overwhelmed because of that, or because something's taking longer to get going, you might put two or three different things, irons in the fire, because you feel like I don't have time to wait, or I need to make money, or you're not quite sure of yourself. Both of those things will relate a lot to the third one, which is being unprepared, which is mastering your craft. And really, really understanding how to roll that into building systems and creating teams behind that. And so let's dig into those a little bit, because this is going to be, I think, very helpful to folks who feel like I'm not really sure how to be productive, or I'm partially productive, but I wish I was more productive. And I think doing one focused business model with the intention to master it is where you need to start. And so if you got two or three or four things going on, and maybe there's if a lot of people that follow the CEO Nation are in real estate. And so maybe you are doing some wholesaling or flipping, but you're also wholesaling. That's okay that if you've got a couple exit strategies, that's the fulfillment phase. But the whole front end is the same in those businesses. If you're doing marketing and generating leads and trying to negotiate good deals and get them on contract and get them into transaction processing and inspection period, it's just how you exit the back end that's a little different. So I'm okay if you have a couple different exits or different ways to fulfill on the back end, but most of those business models are similar. And so if you can get really, really focused on one model and then have the intention to master it, you can start to alleviate a lot of the things I talked about. Here's the thing. So once you track, when you're mastering it, you have to be intentional. And so as you're saying, hey, I'm intentionally going to do these things. And then I look back, this is important. You guys have to have a weekly meeting the same day, same time every week. I talk about this in almost every single topic, but where you can look back and see what's working and what's not working. You can begin to keep lists of things that don't work. And then you dive into those as you have time and you say, hey, what didn't work here? And what caused this issue, or what allowed this issue to happen? Not just, hey, I tried to do this and it didn't work. Well, ask why that didn't work, and ask why, 5, 6, 7 times until you get back to a piece of foundational business model level stuff to where you can say, oh, I can make an adjustment and I can start to fix this, and then I can see it roll out and fix a lot of different problems. That's where you start learning what we would call best practices. And so it takes that intentionality, though, because if all you do is put your head down and go do business, and you just keep fighting every time a problem pops up. Many of us are creative and smart that start businesses. And so we can handle those things on the fly. And if you just fight through them and live to fight another day, it's going to happen again. Even if you build a whole workaround to what I would say to like catch, like as the problem's going to always, not always, but you're going down your process, right, to make money around this area, you know, there's a decent chance that sometimes a certain thing's going to happen. And so you build this, you know, shell around it to say, okay, if that happens, I'll insulate myself and I'll be ready for it. People think that's fixing their business model, but if you can go back a few steps and fix what caused that thing to happen or what allowed it, or start to understand why it happens sometimes and not other times, now we're creating these best practices. And so these best practices are where we really begin to master our craft, and we start to hone what we're doing, and we can eliminate the things that don't work, and we can start to replicate the things that do work. And so once we learn that, we're basically learning the steps of how, when, what, and why. And so again, I'm going to say that again. So it's the steps in your business model of how, when, what, and why that generates money. So when do we do something? How do we do it? What are we doing? The big picture is why we're doing it. And so why do we market the way we do? Okay. Well, when do we market? What are we doing? Mailers, text message? Well, how do we do that? We contact a vendor, we download a list, or if it's social media marketing for an e-commerce business, whatever the case is, when you start to develop all of those out, what you're creating is processes. And the processes that you can link together are systems. And so these systems fit into the 3 buckets that I always talk about this, that all businesses do, are marketing for lead gen, sales for conversion of converting leads into customers, and then fulfillment, which is delivering your good or executing on your service. And so as I look at these 3 buckets, I can say, hey, I've got systems, like, so lead gen in particular, there's systems in there for generating leads, and there's systems in there for managing the leads. Well, what are the processes within the system? Well, the processes are the steps that we've mastered, the how and what we do and when we do it. And then the why is kind of over the top, right? That helps us really, really bring it home, the glue that kind of pulls it all together. And so now once I've started to do that, here's what it's setting up. The whole cool thing is that now that I'm mastering this, I more effectively know what to do and when to do it. Most of your overwhelm is going to go away, because at any given time, you can look at and see where you're at and say, oh, I know what I need to do today. Today is drop the marketing. Today is follow up on old sales leads that we didn't get through last week. Or today is I've got to follow up on customers that we're delivering on, or services that we're executing. And so now that I'm mastering this, I can start to control the game. You guys hear about this in professional sports, where when guys and gals first advance into, you know, college, and then they get pretty good there, when they go into professional sports, the game speeds up a lot, but eventually as they get better, it slows down. Well, mastering these processes that work and creating best practices is when you slow the game down. So immediately a large portion of the overwhelm went away. Part of it is because now you understand so much more about what's going on, that all the little things that don't matter, or the other things that pop up, the shiny objects that might drag your attention, like, hey, you can make a few bucks over here, Or, hey, this thing just popped up. You realize that doesn't matter. I don't need that. I know what I'm doing. But here's the other key is the work it takes to get to where you're mastering. That's actually going to make you so much more organized that you're already setting the foundation of starting to kill the overwhelm. And so again, a lot of this is because we're spreading ourselves so thin that overwhelm kicks in, and then it prevents us from ever really mastering our craft because we're doing so many things. We don't have time to think and be creative and innovate and document processes and test excuse me, test different processes. So the things we have to do to get set up to master are really going to help us start to kill the overwhelm. But once we start to master, that's when we can really push the overwhelm away and start to feel very, very productive. And so what happens, and we talk about this all the time, is that during the process of getting organized and starting to master our craft, we start to learn what activities need to be done in each one of these systems. So our marketing, our sales, and our fulfillment. And so there's leading activities, we would call them key process indicators or KPIs, but there's leading activities that we know if we do this, that sets us up to do this. And if we do that, that'll give us an opportunity to do this, which opens up to move over to the other department, some sales opportunities. And if we do enough of things in there, we'll eventually get to the place where we can get some clients, and we get some clients, and then we can go fulfill those clients. And so these activities are driving us. They're the processes within the systems. The processes are built on activities that are being done. And when we master that, we start to learn which activities work and which ones don't. And then that also sets us up for the other piece that I was telling you, which is the delegation and hiring and building teams. Because once I know I've mastered this system and I've created these processes and I know what activities need to be done during the process, I now can sit back and say, hey, I know what kind of person I need to hire, the kind of person with behavioral and personality tendencies and certain cognition levels, the way they process and think. I can go in and uniquely hire someone that is perfectly suited to do those activities at a high level, be successful and like it, so these processes can be completed. And so that's kind of the full circle piece to where you can finally step out of the business. So when you start to master a business, right, when you can go in and say, hey, now I understand what's going on, you're mastering your craft, that's when you can begin to grow the business. And when you can start to hire a team to step in because you've mastered that craft, that's when you can scale the business. And so the three areas that we're talking about today, where we talked about getting disorganized or being unwilling to delegate or hire, chasing money, being in over your head, all of that stuff can be boiled down to this. There's three places that you need to invest your time and money to grow a business. And so these are definitely something you want to write down. The most important three places that you want to invest money and time are in yourself, in your marketing, and in your people. And they go in that order. In yourself, you're investing the time to master, to get focused, to pick something or a set of somethings that you can master. And once you start to understand how to make money doing a certain thing, then you need to invest in marketing so that you can start to control the deal flow within that business. So once you can master enough personal development of yourself and experience and knowledge, right, then you can start to pour gas into it by being able to market effectively. And then finally, once you can control the business model, you can control the inflow of marketing. Now I can start to apply the right people. And this is in the order that you do it. If you go out and hire people before you have marketing figured out, you're going to really struggle with keeping them busy and making them be effective. And the reality is, if you don't know your business model well enough to be able to put marketing in play to generate leads, then it's going to be really hard to know it well enough to hire the right people. And so this is how this will go. You'll master your craft. You'll learn to generate leads so that you can grow the business. And then you'll learn how to build a team so you can scale. And I want to say that again. If you missed anything, that was everything that was in this. This is a big one to take away. So this is the order in which you go from being overwhelmed in a side hustle or a self-employed gig or a solopreneur into becoming productive as a business owner is this order: master your craft, learn to generate leads so that you can grow, and then learn how to build a team so that you can scale. Again, it's investing in yourself, it's investing in marketing, and it's investing in a team. And when you start to scale is when you can get your time and money back. That's when you get your time freedom and you get your money freedom back. And so you can make money and you can buy more time. You can pay other people to do things for you. So, all right, I've been riffing for a while. Let me see here. Okay, no questions yet. Guys, dump questions in. So does this make sense to you guys? Jump in and let me know before we move into open Q&A, but I want to make sure that we covered this topic. So we've talked about mastering your craft and then being able to market to generate more business to throw into that craft that you've mastered, to throw into that. It's like, so think of it this way: building the engine is like mastering your craft. It's getting focused so that you can learn your business and build systems and processes and understand what works. Marketing is like throwing gas in the engine so you can get it cranked up, revved up, and get it going, get some traction. And then bringing the team in is like bringing someone in to turn the wheel, to pull the lever, to push the buttons, right? To get in and kind of operate the machine. So let me see what I got here. I got some people popping in. Yeah, Samir, no problem, man. Samir says he loves it. Okay, cool. So hold on one second. So Steve, like your name, Steve, by the way. So if I have a team, I'm marketing. Okay, so Steve's asking if he's out of order already. He's got a business that he doesn't really have marketing figured out on, but he's got a team figured out, and he's got a team that's been supporting him. And Steve, just jump in there and tell me if I'm missing this, but I'm assuming that you figured deal flow by just running into it, or you had some deals in front of you, but now you want to scale and you don't know where to find more. If I'm wrong, let me know. But yeah, look, here's the thing: in business, most of us are going to do things wrong, and we rarely set out and just do everything in the right order and make it all work. I'm just trying to give you guys the perspective of so you can intentionally lean into this. But if you've got a team who's functioning, by the way, if you didn't test them, with the types of tests we talk about, if they've only been around for like 3 to 6 months and you think they're working, just be really careful to really stay on top of them, because I personally, in the past, would fall in love with folks that were on our team, and I would be like, yeah, man, this is going to be so cool. But it was more in my head. I just felt I was into the idea of hiring them, and I liked their resume or their experience, or we knew a similar, a mutual friend. I didn't have the scientific personality behavioral cognition testing that we do now. And so I would feel really good about it. And I would tell people like, man, I got this rock star person, they're going to kill it. And I believed it, but it was more in my head and less in seeing them actually doing it. So Steve, if they haven't been actually on their own doing this stuff, really start to work on a couple things. Number one is, if you don't have metrics in place, really start to work on tracking their activities. And number two, to kind of stress test people on your team, if you haven't done that yet, to see if they're the right person. Really, you should focus on being able to delegate results instead of delegating tasks. And so here's what I mean by that. And we use real estate examples a lot in here. So let's say we hire someone and they're in sales and they need to put a purchase agreement together. And so we think we have a client on the hook, and I say, hey, Billy, go get a purchase agreement, fill it out like this, send it over to the person, then call them, then ask them what they thought, walk them through it, and see if they sign it, see if it's okay. Call me back and let me know. Well, I'm delegating tasks to this fictional Billy person, right? Now, if I brought them on correctly and they have the right mentality, the personality, and the ability to comprehend this stuff, and I train them by saying, hey, here's how we do purchase agreements, and here's how we communicate and deliver purchase agreements, and more importantly, here's how we make sure they get signed. I'm going to teach you how we do it, but first I'm going to teach you what we do, and I'm going to mix in why we do it, and then you're going to have a better understanding. I've onboarded and trained you, and then when the client that is on the hook here that we think we want to work with, I can go to this Billy guy and say, hey, Billy, go do a standard purchase agreement for this situation. go knock it out and let me know how it goes. So I've delegated a result to that person. The only way I can do that is if I train them well on the processes, right? And I built the systems and processes and showed them how to do it ahead of time. How, what, why, right? When. So I've said these are the things you need to learn. The number one thing that's even more important that is that I hired the right person to begin with so they can comprehend and run with and be good at this stuff, so that when I train them, it's easier and they just get it. And then I delegate results. Um, so yeah, it's okay, but just make sure you focus to make sure you have the right team. And then I would start small with your marketing, and I would just invest a little bit so that you don't, if the system has been working as it stands, but you stress it by adding a lot more leads, just be careful that you have baselines in place on who can do what, how much, and how long it takes in the different divisions of the company before you start putting a lot of deals in there. That way, when the deals come in, you can continue to track activities and results, and then you'll be able to see discrepancies. And what you're looking for, this is a big key, you're looking for the division between the KPIs. I know this is kind of advanced, but let's say it's how many times they make an offer to a client and how many agreements they get signed or how many sales they close. What I'm doing is I'm tracking the division between these two numbers. So what percentage of the time that they make some kind of pitch to a client do they actually close a deal? And so for me to understand that math, I like seeing that division number, or how many percentage of leads do they work on? Do they actually make a pitch? What's that percentage by dividing? And then again, by the pitches to the closes, what's that percentage? I'm actually making them track the numbers, the activities, but I'm looking at the percentages by doing the division between those, because it's easier for me to watch for it to change. I'm looking for different fluctuations in their production. And so I would just make sure you have that kind of stuff in place, which was a great segue, by the way. I'm gonna drop this in for you guys. But I want to make sure you have that in place before you start pushing the button on marketing too hard, so that when you do, you can watch everybody's productivity and make sure that it's not slipping. All right, so let's see. All right, cool. From Facebook, Andy Van Horn said, would you say networking is enough marketing? Hey, so Andy, what's up, by the way? You know you can log into these Zooms. But Andy, it could be. It's hard for me to say. So if that wasn't clear to everyone, Andy's wondering if networking is enough to consider that marketing for your business. Here's the problem with it. If you have a small business and it's just you as a solopreneur and it's not your main income and you're not really trying to scale it, but you would like to get better at it and grow it over time, you could utilize networking, but you have to treat it in a very organized and professional manner. And here's what I mean by that: that you track how many events you go to, what kind of events you go to, how long you spend there, how many people you meet. Out of those people, how do you follow up with them? What do you say to them when you meet them? What do you say when you follow up? How do you get a deal from them? Right? How do you evaluate the people and segment them and put them into some kind of Excel or contact database? The point is, if you don't create something like that, Andy, you'll just be kind of like the wind blowing. You might get 5 deals in 1 month and you can only handle 1 deal in a month. And then the next month you might get none. And then you're wishing you had 3 or 4 of the deals that you couldn't take the month before. But when you're looking at networking, that is the biggest downfall. Of course, if you can network, not have to spend money and not have to employ people and create systems, it's really great when those deals come in, but it's just not consistent. And it's really hard to build a business around. So that if you're going to get to the point where you try to, and I know that you flip some houses, and so if you're going to try to hire project managers or get disinvolved later in the process, like have more going on, it's hard to support downward in the pipeline if you don't have consistent input in the front of the pipeline. And marketing is the lifeblood of any business. And so when that's not consistent, the entire rest of the business won't be consistent. And so if you just do a bunch of stuff in marketing, even if it's not networking, even if it's paid advertising or marketing or direct mail or something like that, and you just do a bunch, but then you stop and you get overwhelmed, and then you fight through the leads and you get some deals. And we've talked about this before, where you kind of like shift your focus in your business because you don't have the right team. or you don't understand the flow, because you can market too much. If you give any person on your team too much to handle, you'll get less out of them by giving them more. There's a sweet spot where they have just the right amount of people in their, in front of them, or transactions to work on, or deals, or inventory, or whatever your business is, services or consulting or whatever it is. There's a sweet spot that you need to understand, which is part of mastering your craft that I talked about, is how many clients can one person deal with, or how many leads can one person deal with effectively, and follow the process and not get in a rush and not have people sitting and waiting. Right. And so there's a consistency game to play there, to understand where you don't want to give them too much, you don't want to give them too little, and you also don't want to be inconsistent, because it's really hard to build a team. And so I'm going to, and actually, Bobby, if you can grab it, can you paste in the chat for everybody the KPI guide link? And so if you guys haven't done this, the KPI, many of you that are on have probably heard of it, and a lot of you guys in the Facebook group have heard of it. But if you have never heard of it, you need to go get it. It's completely free. It's like 25 minutes. But if you haven't gone through it and actually done it and paid attention, you need to go do this, because the KPI training that we did, the ultimate KPI guide, is literally the exact thing you need to take advantage of what I was talking about today, to master your craft and understand the activities that go from marketing and building a team. It all starts with understanding your business, and you can't understand it if you're doing 5 different things. And so deciding which one or which couple that are related you're going to focus on is number one. Number two is dive into the KPIs. And so the things that you have to do to track your activities is the beginning of what will set you free down the line, which will allow you to eventually create systems and processes, and eventually be able to hire team to come in behind that to run those systems and processes. And that's when you scale revenue and you get out of the business. It's not one or the other. When you do it right, you literally, when you start making more money, it's the same time you start having more free time. And if you're not getting those two things together, you're not doing it right. Where maybe you're getting a lot more free time because you hired people, but your income's not getting any higher. That would be just a little bit of growth, in my opinion, not a scale. A scale is when revenue will ramp, like in a parabola. And so that should also be the time that you're getting your free time back. Hey, thanks for posting that. So let's see, guys, who has some questions? Checking on time here. I got about 5 minutes, 10 minutes here to answer any questions you guys got. Try to kind of watch. Bobby, if there's anything else on Facebook, let me know. Actually, okay, hold on. Leanna's got one. All right. So if I have my KPIs figured out. Okay, cool. So Leanna was asking if she has her KPIs all figured out, but she's not really sure when to hire or who to hire, how does that help? So you're right. I linked that stuff together a little while ago, and I've talked about it in a lot of other trainings. So here's another cool side benefit of getting the KPIs figured out in your business. Literally, it creates like a crystal ball. And this is all going to be contingent upon you knowing what you want, which I think is one of the biggest problems with people in businesses. They want they want to make $1 million, have $1 million of revenue, or they want to flip 100 houses, or they want to, they want to build a certain media agency or an e-com store or a marketing company, whatever it is. So or I want to be a realtor with a team. And then we see this stuff, and it's like they saw somebody else doing this, or people talk about this, and they think, I want that. Well, that is never the thing. The number of houses you flip, the number of units you sell on Amazon, or the amount of agency media that you purchase, like that's never the thing you want. And if you tie your thoughts and processes and vision up into that, the units and revenues, it's never going to work for you. I'm not saying you won't be successful, but you're never going to be happy on the back end of it. And so what it starts with is, how much free time do I want? How much money do I need? and I would mix in their authority, um, and and maybe a few other things that are resources that you get out of having a successful business, but mostly it's time and money. And so I start with, what do I want my life to look like? What do I want my day to look like? Where do I live? Who do I live with? Who are my family? Where do my kids go to school? What do I give money to charity? Do I travel? Do I work out? What do I eat? Right? There's all these questions of deep, the six senses, or the five senses, not six senses. That's like the I see dead people. So the five senses, you're going to say, hey, what would my day be like, smell like, look like, taste like, right? You have all these very detailed breakdowns of what your perfect day would look like. And then you need to figure out, well, how much free time do I need to do those things? And how much money do I need? And so that's like where you want to end up. And so you back time that into where I can get in the next year, down to like 90 days or 1 year, somewhere in that range. And you start to say, okay, this is how much revenue I got to generate. And then I know what my business model is because I've been mastering my craft. Like I told you guys, you can start to do the division and figure out how many sales you need to have, or how many clients you need to have, or how much revenue you need to generate. And you back time that into, on a sliding scale, back down to where you are. You're right here and you want to be up here, right? And so you're going to progressively grow the company, because it doesn't grow like this usually. It doesn't just grow like this where it goes up and goes straight. So it's not going to be a straight line every month. So to make a natural ebb and flow of your business, that you're going to grow it. Well, if I know these numbers, because I told you to track everything, you can start to look at, well, in the middle of the year, if I'm doing this much revenue, I need to be doing this many units or sales. And I know how many clients I need for that. I know how many leads I need for that. You can do that math backwards, and you can estimate how much marketing you'll have to be doing and how many team members you'll need. And so again, I told you it's like a crystal ball. So Leanna, the way that you would look at this is take your KPIs so that you know what they are now, and then go use those same numbers, the same ratios, and apply them to where you want to be, and do the math backwards to figure out how much is going to be happening. How many people do I need working for me? How many deals do I need to be doing? Or how much inventory am I selling? And I can figure that future state out, and I just back time it. And literally, instead of feeling like, man, I think I need a salesperson, or I think I need help in marketing, or I think I need an admin, because you just get this feeling, well, let the numbers tell you what you need in your business. So done right, planning and KPIs will tell you when to hire. And the KPIs that are saying, here's the things that you're going to need to hire, because you're going to need to be making these kinds of offers, or processing these kinds of transactions, or whatever it is. Those activities that are driving this need for hiring, those are the same activities that go into a job description. And then we reverse that into the behavioral and personality aspects of who would be good at doing those things. And now my planning, given my KPIs, has told me when to hire and who I need to hire. So the third thing you need to learn is how, right? And that's not today's purview, but that's how metrics, the KPIs, play into this whole thing of understanding, who and when to hire, and understanding, on a day-to-day basis, so that, again, we're talking about overwhelm today, so that I can be productive. So I know at any given time, these activities should be happening in this order, and they should take about this long, and they get done by this kind of person. And once I have that, even if I get really tremendously busy, I'll have a set of data that I can look at, and I have a set of standards, right? And then I have some organization because of what I put in place. And even if I'm super, super busy, I can still take a step back and realize, like, I'm not overwhelmed, I'm just busy. Those are two different things, because overwhelm is you don't really know what to do. It's like you're taken off guard, you're taken out, taking kind of, your head's taken out of the game. And so when I'm busy, that just means I've got a lot going on. So, all right, guys, let me see if I have any. Samir says, from someone that's in over their head, does it make sense to scale back and reorganize correctly? What are your thoughts? That's a good question. So I know that you and I talked. So I would say this: if you're scaling back, there's two different things that I'm thinking of when you say that. If you've got your foot on the gas, yes, you should probably take your foot off the gas. But if you're talking about, I've already got a bunch of stuff going on, like a bunch of open projects, I wouldn't say that you need to go in and dump those off. What I would do is take an assessment, honestly, of what needs to get done and what the benefit of getting all that done is and what the risk of trying to get all that done would be and how much it's going to cost and how long it's going to take. So it's cost, duration, risk, and upside. And so if you can take a step back and say, all right, what all do I have going on? First of all, take like legitimate stock in your inventory of what's happening. I got this many clients or deals or transactions or whatever. What is the potential upside of keeping all of this in play? So that's your upside, right? What is the time and money needed to do that? And what is the risk involved with it? So it's kind of like a SWOT analysis: strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So then I might say, okay, what if I cut that back in half? Then how much time and money is it going to take? And how bad does that decrease my upside? Maybe it gives me another upside. Maybe you're going to sell off some projects you're working on. And I know that you're in real estate and you make a little bit of money dumping them. Instead of having big paydays down the road, you get little wholesale fees. You throw that in, but you get less on your plate, so you can spend more time and make sure those projects are actually going to come to fruition, which drastically reduces the risk. It reduces the time and effort that needs to go in, and it may not proportionally reduce the upside. Maybe the upside comes down by 50%, but time and energy goes down by 75%, and risk comes down by over 50%. And so I would make that bet. So I don't know if I'm helping Samir. Maybe I'm getting a little too technical there with it. But again, if you're in overwhelm, you can pack the parachute on the way down. You can lean out of the Pinto when it's shaking, going 100 mile an hour, and bolt the side of the fender in because it's flapping in the wind, and you got to tighten the ship up. It is easier though if you take your foot off the gas. That doesn't mean you need to hit the brakes, but just quit the acceleration of growth. Don't take any new projects on. Maybe you slow marketing down a little bit, but just be realistic about what you can get done. And again, the whole thing starts with, why are you doing the things you're doing? Is it going to lead you to where you want to be? So what do you really want? Sometimes that takes having some tough conversations with people that work for you, or clients that were counting on you or whatever. But the reality is, if you can't shore up the foundation and you're going to make yourself stressed and sick trying to do all these things, that really you're not going to be any good in the future anyway. And the business isn't going to help all the people that it could potentially help. And so if it does take a step back to get cleaned up, I think it's absolutely important that you get a foundation set, because if you don't create a foundation in your business, you become the foundation, and nothing can get done without stacking on top of you. And every time you stack more on you as the foundation, it's just more and more pressure. And at some point you'll collapse from it and you'll resent it. And then you may build this beautiful thing on top of you and you can't get out from underneath it. And you're stuck in it, like in quicksand or concrete. Yep. So Samir said, I'm the foundation. That's the issue. Listen, man, eat the elephant one bite at a time. Just, even while you're doing everything, just document. If you haven't done my KPI training, go do it. Just start writing down everything you do and start grouping it up by lead generation, sales, and fulfillment. And then further combine things and label things and write down how long it's taking. And so you'll get a lot of clarity and peace by just documenting everything. That's literally every single thing you have to do and that you do on a daily basis. Just get that all documented and start to build it into job descriptions. Even if you don't let go of it right away, just knowing that you have it compartmentalized and documented is going to help. Yeah. So Jim just said the KPI is work. Very, very powerful stuff. Thank you for making that available. You're welcome, kind sir. My Clubhouse BFF. All right, cool. I think we're good. I don't see any other questions in here. Let me close up with this. Bobby, if you got it, can you drop the strategy session link? You may not have that. Yeah, you do. The Calendly link. Cool. Guys, in the chat, we dropped a couple different things in there. If you want to talk about any of the things we can do to help formally, the strategy link, the Calendly link is the thing to click. If you want to connect more with the community, hit the Facebook group up. Please check out the podcast, and I would love to have your feedback. I'm pretty excited that we have some more things that are going to start cranking with that. And this mysterious Bobby that I'm talking to is our marketing manager, which I'm really, really excited about. He's helping with all of our businesses, primarily right now, Redevelop Indie, the CEO Nation, and Team Architects. And so he's kind of like my Alfred, like sitting in the back cave, like the guy that is actually doing stuff, making things happen. So thanks for being there, Bobby, pasting those links and putting that stuff out there and supporting on the call. But I hope this helps, guys. At the end of the day, listen, don't cheat yourself and lie to yourself that being overwhelmed is okay, that it's a season in life and you'll get through it, because you won't if you don't take action and you don't purposely get yourself through it. Your business should not be overwhelming you. That doesn't mean there won't be little times of it, but if it's chronic where you're in and out of it, or it sustains for weeks at a time, these overwhelms should probably last hours, not even days. I can understand a day or here and a two here and there, but if overwhelm lasts for a week or longer, you guys really got to check yourself with getting focused. And let me just go back and reiterate a couple points in case you didn't write these down. So the best 3 places to invest in once you start making money is in yourself, your marketing, and people, in that order, so that you can master your craft. You can learn a way to make money. If you can do that, guys, you can literally be like an ATM. When you invest in yourself and master a craft, you can get picked up from, I'm in Indianapolis, Indiana. I can get picked up and dropped off in nowhere, Nebraska, and I can be up and running in weeks, within months, probably more so than many of the people in that area doing whatever I do. And within 6 months to a year, I'm probably back to where I am now. Maybe better, because I could kind of redo everything exactly the way that I would do it if I had to start over. It might even be a blessing, right? And so mastering your craft and becoming a person who knows that I know that I can do certain things and make money is very empowering, right? And so starting with investing in yourself to master your craft, and then learning to generate leads, mastering marketing next, and investing in marketing, and becoming a person who can generate opportunity at any given time, so that you can put $1 in the marketing machine and get $2 to $3 to $5 to $6 to $10 back, depending on what campaign and what kind of business you're in, is really powerful. And then finally, investing in people is the holy grail of scaling your business, so that you can go from growing it when you learn how to market to scaling it when you learn how to build a team. And that's when you can get your time and money freedom back. So I hope that helps you guys. Would love to connect at all the different places the CEO Nation has. And I will be back next Monday, 3:30 Eastern, like I always am. And if you're on Clubhouse, you can follow me at Steve Richards. And would love to see you in any of the rooms there. And I think that's it, guys. It's been a good one. Jim said great content. As always, team, thanks. Yep. Thanks, Jim. Appreciate you. And I will talk to all you guys later.